Hi, my name is Rob Stamey. I'm the CEO of Team Orbit. I'm 29 years old and located in South Carolina, USA. How I got where I am today was through a lot of hard work, dedication, and passion, and that's pretty much what anybody will tell you it takes to make it in this industry. My initial involvement in the industry was sponsoring an amateur Call of Duty team. This started in Call of Duty Ghost. It was a blast working with those players, and changing their lives was something that I really enjoyed. Giving them the opportunity to go around, go to the offline events, and compete against some of the best players in the world. After the disbandment of that team, I was going into advanced warfare, wondering what was I going to do as far as eSports, because I really wanted to stay in the scene. So I sent a couple applications out to a couple companies and linked up with a production company called Perfect Alliance, who is a well-known company within the Call of Duty community. From there, my job was an operations officer, which was the architect, and I was the head architect for the first ever amateur Call of Duty league. It was a second league behind MLG's Pro League, giving amateur players an opportunity to showcase their skills and also play for some cash. Our work during that first season was such a success that the second season actually got picked up by UMG, which expanded the league even more. Even some of the biggest professionals that you see today in Call of Duty actually played in the league that was constructed with me and my partners with that company. After my departure with the production company, I was approached by the Orbit CEO, Patrick, and to come on board and help in a more business aspect with the brand. So that's where I am today. I've been with the organization for over a year now, handling the daily operations and really the business development side of Orbit. So really, I'm just like anybody else. I came into the scene without a name, and slowly throughout the years have kind of earned my stripes, shall you say. And I still have a long way to go to make it in eSports. But being consistent, coming up with new ideas, and thinking outside the box is really how I got to where I am today. The greatest moment in my esports career, probably as cliche as it sounds, is joining Team Orbit. Joining this brand that has already established itself before I even came into it is obviously one of my biggest accomplishments. With the accolades that they had already accomplished before I got here, and the growth that we have seen in the past in 2015, this clearly has to be the greatest moment that I've accomplished in esports, is joining Team Orbit. With the team that we have built here, I only know good things are to come, and great things are coming. So the growth isn't stopping anytime soon. Without a doubt, it's easy to say that joining Team Orbit would be the greatest moment of my esports career. The best person that I've worked with in esports, that's actually a tough question, because networking is such an important part of esports, and you meet thousands and hundreds of people at events, actually online. But really, I can say I guess the best person that I've worked with in esports is Patrick, the Orbit CEO and founder of Orbit. The things that we've accomplished in the short amount of time, and the growth that we've seen in his brand has been remarkable. He is located overseas, so working internationally is also something that I enjoy, with the time schedules and things like that. But really, also, it comes down to players. I can't name as many players that it's really enjoyable to work with, whether it be Counter-Strike players, Halo players, Call of Duty players. Really, players make this. So there's numerous players that I can't name, But if I had to single out one person, I would say Patrick, the CEO of Orbit, just for the way that things have panned out in the shorter period of time that we've worked together. My favorite esports to watch and play, without a doubt, is Call of Duty. It's where my heart's always been, just because of the growth that the game has seen. The transformation of the game has really changed with the developers, and the way that they've changed the game, kind of moving away from boots on the ground, from some of the old past games. So the transformation of the game is kind of good to see. As new things, are never a bad thing, but as long as they're taking the community's feedback, that's always good. And I think that you're seeing that more now, with Activision, with the makers of the game, and Call of Duty, with the growth, with the COD World League. There's just new opportunities coming up in Call of Duty, and that's where my heart will always be. I guess if I had to throw a second game in there, it would be Counter-Strike. Just because I feel like it's one of the best games in the world, from a viewership standpoint, crowdfunding standpoint, and then just the stability that Counter-Strike has seen, and then also the mechanics. I mean, the game hasn't changed much over time, so really first Call of Duty and then Counter-Strike. My dream job would be to work in esports full time. With the way that the industry is growing, it's not just about the money that can be made in the industry, but it's about the passion. I've been playing video games since probably the age of 2 and 3 years old, so my passion for gaming has always been there. Obviously, with the slow reaction time, I know that I'd never be able to make it as far as a professional gamer. But my goal is to eventually turn esports and full-time businesses into a full-time business. With that, I think that we're really close, and that dream could really come true within the next month, or a year. I could be doing this full-time. So that is the goal. That's why I put in the endless time and effort into Team Orbit, and making sure we do things the right way. That way we can get to that point to where these other top organizations are doing this full-time. So really working in esports full-time is my dream job, whether it be, in an aspect of not really owning an organization and be working for, either a developer or companies that participate in esports. I could find myself falling into one of those places. That's probably the toughest question that I've been asked yet so far. As far as going back and changing one thing that I've done, obviously I've made numerous mistakes with my time in esports, so it's kind of hard to put my finger on exactly one that I would say is the definite mistake. I mean, there's numerous mistakes that come up with it not be signing teams and players, and missing out on opportunities and watching them blossom into something that you could have had. Really, I would just say the involvement, and when I got involved in the industry, obviously I'm 29 years old, so I've been around long enough to see the esports and gaming industry blossom. But I feel like if I would have got involved back in the early 2000s, instead of the later years, things would be a lot better for me. Not saying that things aren't good now, but I just feel like, I guess just doing my research and getting involved at the right time would probably be my biggest mistake that I've made so far. Anytime that you get involved, you want to be ahead of the game, and I didn't quite get in when I should have, to truly understand the business as a whole and how it works, and how you can make it full time. But I would say that, I'm going to make plenty more mistakes along the way, so I'm not scared to make them. It's how you learn. It's a learning process. And, mistakes are what makes character. When I was growing up, what was my favorite game? I guess since I owned pretty much every console, starting with the original Nintendo, I would say Mario Brothers. Without a doubt, Mario Brothers was the best game of all time. It still is, and anybody that wants to argue that, we can have an argument. But Mario Brothers wins, hands down. And lastly, I'd like to give a huge shout out to the supporters who ever make everything happen. BenQ, Zowie eSports, G2A, Scuff Gaming, Arazi Chairs, Sector 6, and Core Effects. Thanks guys for all your support.
This video is brought to you by G2A.com.